Glad to have you with us here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Tyler Jones here with you as we are breaking down the top draft targets for the Kansas City Chiefs with their 31st overall selection. I got 10 names to keep an eye on. And let me preface this and say, we are looking at guys that we realistically think could be available at 31 and also could fill a need at that 31 overall pick. Obviously, they could trade up if they felt like it and go for somebody that would not be available normally at 31. But we're keeping things at least realistic for now of where they're at this point in time. With that said, let's ask you. I want to survey the kingdom here for a second. No wrong answers. In your opinion, who is the Chiefs' best draft pick of all time? I think there's an obvious answer here. But maybe you have somebody else that comes to mind. Who is the Chiefs' best draft pick of all time? Get in that comment section and let us know who you think. Let's start at the wide receiver position. I'm going to warn you ahead of time. We have several Ohio State players in the list today. And we begin with Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State Buckeyes. You look at the wide receiver position for the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're going to get Rashee Rice back at some point next year. Obviously, coming off the injury and potentially could be suspended. You get Xavier Worthy coming off a strong rookie campaign, but you don't know what's going to happen with Hollywood Brown or DeAndre Hopkins. You got to start thinking about other guys. And we've seen the trend be for Brett Veach that he loves to give Patrick Mahomes a weapon early in the draft, and Egbuka could potentially be that guy. I know that they have maybe some more pressing needs at the offensive tackle position, but there could be a situation where maybe the top offensive tackles are gone by the time the Chiefs pick at 31. Thing I like about Egbuka, he's got reliable hands. You know what they say about Xavier Worthy, right? The careless drops. It's the total opposite with Egbuka here. I think this is a guy that would be very dependable. And Ohio State, to their credit, they have been wide receiver U. No school, by a mile, has produced better wide receivers than the Ohio State has in recent years. I have every reason to think that Emeka is going to be another good one here in the National Football League. I think he'd be a good fit for Kansas City. Show the Chiefs draft Emeka Egbuka. Type Y for yes, in for no. Weigh in our pinned comment today. Let us know if you think they should draft him or not. Another player from the Ohio State is Josh Simmons at the offensive tackle position. And this one might be a bit of a reach. There's probably a decent chance he's gone at 31. But just in case, if he's still available, this would be a very good fit for Kansas City. He has foot speed, which you typically don't say about a lot of offensive linemen. He can move around. He's got those movement skills that you are looking for, and he's somebody that should be ready to go as a day one starter immediately and help out this Chiefs offensive line if they decided to go there with Josh Simmons on that front. Let's go to the defense now. This is where we find Walter Nolen from Ole Miss at the defensive tackle position. Walter Nolen began his career with Texas A&M and then entered the transfer portal after Jimbo Fisher was fired. He was the number one player in the portal this past year, ends up going to Ole Miss, joining Lane Kiffin, and he was awesome at Ole Miss. He was even better than what he was at A&M, and he looks the part of what you're looking for at that position. He's strong, he's powerful, and he's versatile. And you look at this group. You put him there with Carl Loftus and Chris Jones. I mean, everybody's talking about what the Eagles did to the Chiefs this past week with their four-man fronts. You want to add Walter Nolen and have some aggressive four-man fronts, then all of a sudden you're cooking with bacon grease, and you're making life a whole lot easier on your secondary there. Another player from the national champion Ohio State Buckeyes is offensive guard Donovan Jackson, who potentially could play the offensive tackle position at the next level. So there is some positional versatility there when it comes to Donovan Jackson. And with him, he's got the strong grip strength. All right, he is going to be able to hold his own at the line of scrimmage, taking on opposing defenders. He is somebody that also is ready to go right from the jump and would be a nice asset for this Kansas City Chiefs team if they decided to select him. So between those three, would you rather go with Simmons, Nolen, or Donovan Jackson? Type JS for Josh Simmons. Type WN for Walter Nolen. Type DJ for Donovan Jackson. Let us know in the comments section. We are talking all things NFL draft over the next couple of months here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. We're going to be bringing out our first mock draft here in the coming days ahead. We're talking draft rumors, draft trades. We're going to do it all here on the channel. And I got to tell you, humble brag, you do not know anybody that watches more college football than yours truly. All right? I love college football even more than I love the NFL, to be honest with you. All right? We are going to bring you the best draft coverage that you will find anywhere when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs. That is my promise to you. So if you want to be locked and loaded on what's going on with the draft and what the Chiefs should do and what they should be looking at, then you need to subscribe to the channel. We got you covered like no one else is. Subscribe now for free. Help us reach 69,500 subscribers. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. You'll be glad you did. Next up, we stay in the Big Ten Conference, and this is where we find Purdue offensive tackle Marcus Mbow. And I know Purdue was a very bad football team. Really bad. But Mbow was one of the few bright spots for Purdue this past season. This is a guy that even though he's an offensive lineman, he is light on his feet. He's effortless with movement. He is a guy that can move around, and you can get really creative with him potentially with his abilities that he brings at the line of scrimmage there. He is going to be a versatile football player at the next level. Let's talk defense now. Another one of my favorites in this draft, Derrick Harmon from the University of Oregon. And this one is kind of hard to figure out because I see some people that give him a first-round grade and then others that could see him slipping all the way to day 3. I think Derrick Harmon is more of a first-round guy. I think that his numbers didn't reflect how good he played at Oregon this past year, transferring in from Michigan State. This was somebody that I felt was doing better than advertised. He took on a lot of double teams and was doing things that didn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet, similar to kind of what Chris Jones did this season with the Kansas City Chiefs. And the thing I like about him, he explodes through the gaps. For a defensive tackle, this guy has an extra burst to him that you're looking for at that position. Next up, let's go back to the offensive line. That is where we find Armand Membou out of the University of Missouri. And you Mizzou fans are going to like this. We're bringing Armand up. Now, for him, I've seen him as high as top 15. I've seen some people projecting he could slip to the second round. And there's a big question about Armand. Is he an offensive tackle or is he an offensive guard at the next level? He played tackle at Mizzou. Some people think that he's better suited as a guard. The Chiefs could use either position. You'll find a way to make it work. And the thing I like about him, he is a fluid athlete in space. He is a mover. And I think that would be very good for this Kansas City Chiefs team to have a guy that you can plug and play. I think offensive lines now are getting more positionless of sorts, where you're looking to just put the best 5 guys out there, kind of like what we saw this year with the Chiefs playing Joe Thuney at left tackle, or what the Eagles did, the Super Bowl champions, putting Mekhi Becton at guard here. I think that could be a situation where Mbow, you say, hey, let's just get you in camp, and let's find somewhere to put you. Who's a player the Chiefs should draft? We're going over several draft targets. Who comes to mind? Give me a name in the comments section that you would like to see end up in Kansas City. Next up on the list, let's talk wide receiver. Our second wide receiver of our potential draft targets is Matthew Golden from the University of Texas. Stay Golden. Wouldn't it be something to have Matthew Golden and Xavier Worthy together? We get Golden and we get Worthy on the same team. And the thing that I like about this, too, if you bring in Matthew Golden, he and Xavier Worthy are totally different receivers. He is an explosive, big play threat. And the thing I like about him compared to Xavier Worthy, and you guys know I'm a big Xavier Worthy fan, but I'm not afraid to call a spade. And Xavier Worthy's got a drop problem. That goes back to his days at Texas. Matthew Golden does not have a drop problem. He is very good about catching everything that comes his direction. And look, what's been missing from this Chiefs offense the last few years, really since Tyreek Hill left, has been the explosive passing game and stretching the field. You bring in Matthew Golden, you can bring that element potentially back into the Chiefs offense. Next up, we find another one of my favorites in this draft, James Pearce Jr., the edge rusher from Tennessee. Entering 2024, ESPN, for folks that don't know, named him the number one player in all of college football. And kind of like what we talked about earlier with Derrick Harmon, the stats didn't show how dominant he was because of all the double teams and extra things he had to do. I got to see him play in person at the Oklahoma-Tennessee game earlier this year, and this guy just lights it up. All right, there are so many little things that he's doing that just go unnoticed. And he's got elite bend and flexibility for his position. He looks like just a natural at his spot. And look, I'll be honest here. King Felix hasn't really shown you much in 2 years. All right? You got to be thinking about other options potentially for pass rushers, because I don't know if King Felix is that guy. James Pearce might be the upgrade you're looking for as far as that goes. One more name to get to before we wrap up in a moment, but let's ask you, what position should the Chiefs draft in the first round? What comes to mind? Is it offensive tackle? Is it offensive guard? Is it linebacker? Is it edge? Is it corner? Is it receiver? What is the position the Chiefs need to draft in the first round? Weigh in and let us know. Last on our list, folks, we turn our attention to Darius Alexander from Holy Toledo. The defensive tackle makes our list next. And I know that he played in the MAC and all that, and that's going to turn some people off that he didn't necessarily play against the best competition. But what the tape shows is that he has power through his frame. All right? This guy, he brings it. He brings the boom. That's what he does. And he could be a nice asset for this Chiefs defense if they give him a shot there. There you have it, folks. That's our full list of draft targets as we officially begin draft coverage here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end of today's show, that means you are a real one. Spam real one in the comments section, and we'll see you next time right here on the Kansas City Chiefs Report.